Hello, and welcome to Mini Paint Mitch. This is kind of strange because you're normally used to seeing this side of me, but I decided to hop on the camera today and talk about how my crazy year has been. At the beginning of the year, back in January, I decided to paint a miniature or do some kind of creative project once a week for a full year. And this is kind of the result. I've managed to keep that schedule despite everything, and this has kind of been such a fun journey, building a community and getting to know people in the mini painting world has been fantastic. So today I'm going to be going over some of my favorite projects from the year and some of my not so favorites. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the lessons I've learned along the way. So without further ado, let's get into it. So here is everything. This is just over 200 miniatures I painted this year. This has obviously been the most amount of miniature painting I've done in such a short time frame, but I'm so proud of every single one of these projects. I think they came out fantastic. Other than the quantity of miniatures I've been able to paint this year, I think the most surprising thing for me is just how varied a lot of these projects are. And I started off with the goal of really mainly being Star Wars, but ended up branching into Fallout, Ghostbusters, Resident Evil, just dabbling in these different styles of miniatures. And really, I think that's where a lot of the fun has come from, is just being able to switch up and just try something else. This was the first mini I painted for the channel, and this little Stay Puft guy, he's from Zombicide. I wanted to try something a little different, and just to see if this was something I could do, filming on camera, talking about painting. And I really like the way he came out, but he's a little on the basic side. I really leaned heavy into Star Wars Shatterpoint this year, but we were getting a lot of releases back to back, and some of those sculpts were absolutely amazing. I think some standout hits for me this year was Luke and Vader. They came out so well, and I was so happy with them. I really put a lot of effort into object source lighting and painting with a limited palette, but I'm really pleased with the results. Another one that kind of surprised me was General Grievous as well. I love this miniature. He's so imposing and massive and yet delicate. He was just really fun to paint just from start to finish, just came together. I painted some random Legion projects that were kind of on my desk for a while, and although I didn't really commit to one true faction, I do think that 2025 is going to be a lot more Legion. We're going to get resculpts and new reissues of existing soft plastics. We're going to get 2.0 basically with the new upgrade system. So Legion fans, don't worry, there's going to be a lot more content coming, and I'm going to get way back into this awesome wargame. Something that kind of shocked me while I was taking photography throughout the year was how little terrain I actually had in my collection. And so I decided to paint as much terrain as I could in between some of the bigger miniature projects. And I've done weathering and stuff before, but to be able to do it on such a big scale was really fun, especially things like the crashed X-Wing was great. And I'm just really excited to paint more terrain for 2025. I mentioned earlier that I kind of dabbled across the board on all kinds of different projects, and some of my more favorite stuff was the toy customs. It's definitely a different skill set that you need to be able to just kind of cut into stuff and get a vision in your head of what you want it to be before it's done. And you don't have the safety net of having an existing sculpt to paint on. But I really enjoyed it, and I think these projects were some of the more rewarding ones. They take a little bit more time than your usual miniatures, but I can see myself doing some more of these. Oh, and I have to mention the barnacle miniatures. These were kind of a gamble. I didn't really want to try something that wasn't kind of your traditional wargame, and I really enjoyed doing these. I've been kind of on a weird 2000s nostalgia kick for a while, and so it was really fun to kind of find these miniature sculpts online and then paint them up to look like the toys. It's just really fun to do that and kind of rekindle some of that childhood nostalgia. And I think the thing that I took away from that was just doing the different environments on the bases was just a lot of just kind of pushing yourself to try different environments. You get kind of stuck into the same cycle for a while. And so it's fun to do snow and jungle and earth. And so it's just, yeah, that was kind of my takeaway from there. Repainting my Balrog was such a fun project, but I think I could have pushed it further. This was one of the ones where, to me, there was a lot of pressure on this because it was so pivotal in my childhood. And I'm pleased with the paint job, but I just think in my head it just looked a little bit more vibrant, I guess, maybe a little bit more defined. And part of it is the fact that it is a very old metal sculpt, and so a lot of those details are lost. But part of it, I think, was just I put kind of the stakes a little too high on that one for me. I'm still really happy with the way it came out and super proud that I was able to revisit something that was so important to me. And as I said in that video, I have a box full of old Lord of the Rings stuff that I may revisit in the future. This was kind of just a one-off for now, but it was fun. It was really fun. I did try a few board game miniatures like Resident Evil and MacReady from the Thing board game, and these are good. Again, this is one of those projects that I think could have been better. I think I was looking for stuff to paint. I wasn't quite sure what kind of genre I wanted to sort of lock into yet. I'm still really happy with the ones I picked and I painted, but the trouble with board game miniatures is you often find that the detail isn't quite there, the sculpts aren't quite there. I think the Nemesis Intruders came out fantastic. I'm really happy with those, and since I've even had them on a game night, and they look amazing on the table. And so I could see myself going back and doing more of those, or even the upcoming Nemesis Retaliation, I think, is coming out fairly soon. And so those are really cool, but I just feel like maybe some of those other smaller board game ones, I could have tried something different, maybe did a bigger batch of them so that there's a little bit more variety to it. I've got to mention Warhammer because that played a huge part in my channel throughout the year, and I was able to get a lot of kill teams painted, not as many as I really wanted to, but definitely a lot more than what I've had in previous painting experience. It was really cool to get like a lot of kill teams done fully, the whole team. It's a bit of a rush to get it done in a week and filmed and edited, but I really enjoyed getting them to the table the following week for a game night or something. These kill teams, they were fun projects. I think the standout one for me really was the Stingwings. Not only was I hyped for 3.0, I think it was such a great new version of the game. It is also a really gross, unique paint job that kind of still weirds me out to this day. Like holding these wasp-like miniatures and moving them around is really gross. And so I really liked it. That was kind of taking real life inspiration and kind of applying that to miniature form. Another one that came out really cool is the Judge Dredd inspired Exaction Squad. I haven't had a chance to use these guys in 3.0 yet. I know they were kind of rough in 2.0. As soon as I saw them, I had to apply that inspired look to them. And I think they came out great. They look great from afar, and they're one of my more prouder moments. Of course, Skaventide came out this year, and not that I need to get into another miniature war game, but I dabbled into Age of Sigmar and fell in love. I think some of the sculpts in that series are some of Games Workshop's best. They're so intricate and gorgeous and posed, and they just look fantastic. And so yeah, jumping into Skaven, this was something that I was super hyped for, and I really put heart and soul into the very small amount of Skaven that I did actually get done in time. I do plan on doing Clan Rats very, very soon. That's been requested a few times, and so it'd be fun to revisit that. But I am really taking my time on it and making sure that they are some of my more meticulous work. The other Age of Sigmar related thing that I'm really happy with was the Black Coach. Oh man, this was just such a fun project. I highly recommend just painting this. If you're not into Age of Sigmar, just go out and buy this and paint this. This was so fun. It didn't feel like a miniature. It honestly just felt like a Halloween decoration. just being able to play with really weird neon colors and a great source material was just, I loved every minute. This was one of the few ones that I didn't want to end. I could have done this for a whole nother week. I just loved everything about it. I can see myself doing more of the bigger vehicles next year. I really like doing the Legion LA-AT, and I kind of want to jump back into more bigger vehicle-based videos as well. One of the later projects in the year that really got me kind of inspired again was the Trench Crusade. Just the two kind of free models that they gave out. I don't know what it is about it. It's a fascinating war game, and I really like the models. It's just, yeah, it was just really fun to paint. It just kind of getting messy for the sake of getting messy. And I kind of applied a lot of techniques that I've learned throughout the year, like messing with oil washes and kind of doing kind of chipping and damage and stuff on metallics. And this was just something that I'm really excited for. I can really see myself painting a lot of these very, very quickly. There's also a couple of miniatures in here that I didn't actually get around to doing a video for. So, for example, the Stormtroopers from Star Wars Shatterpoint. These were something I painted up very quickly. I needed it for a game night, and I was really happy with the way these came out. So these could be a future video. And I also painted up the IG droids from Star Wars Legion because I'd done IG-88 and I decided to just replicate that recipe on the Legion ones. So there you have it. That's basically everything I've painted this year. It doesn't look like much when it's all laid out like this, but it has been a crazy amount of paint, a crazy amount of hours, and I'm just really happy with the way everything kind of turned out. So what are my future plans for the channel? Well, you can expect a lot more tutorials. As you can tell from behind me, I'm up to my chin in miniatures, and so I've got a lot more to do. In fact, I've been printing Trench Crusade all weekend, so there's going to be a whole series of that coming. I'm also happy to announce that I'm launching a Patreon, and so it's a great way to support a small channel like myself, but also you get some really cool exclusive content. There's going to be a whole bunch of goodies and extras like print guide PDFs and voting power for what project I tackle next. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be announcing that very shortly. Also, I've got my YouTube membership program up and running, so if you feel like you want to sponsor me through YouTube, you totally can. There's, once again, a bunch of really cool extras on there, and that's a really nice way to help support the channel. I also want to do more painting challenges and toy customs. I had a blast doing the Balrog this last year and some of the smaller Micro Galaxy toy customs, and so I want to do more of those. So in order to tackle some of these bigger projects, I will be taking a little bit more time between each video. I've got plans for bigger kill teams and bigger models like Usharan, for example, and I really want to take some time and make these the best possible tutorial for them. I'm also toying with the idea of doing some gameplay videos as well. I collect all these miniatures and paint them all. I also play the games, so I'm thinking about doing maybe a battle report series on things like Kill Team and Legion, and just seeing how that goes as well. Lastly, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Whether you've been with me since the first episode or you've just joined, thank you so much for all your support. I love reading your comments. I love responding to the community, and I just want to say thank you. Let me know down in the comments below what's been your favorite miniatures from this year. Have you painted any yourself that you're really proud of? As always, liking the video really helps people like me out and helps get my content out there to a wider audience. And subscribe if you haven't already. I've got a lot more plans for 2025. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next year.